This conference will now be recorded.
You have the password of this?
No sir, open secret.
ये password रहेगा.
ठीक है, बोलो सर.
Pass capital P है.
Capital B.
Tricillian 2 है.
जी.
Tricillian 2.
Spell करो सर.
नहीं, Tricillian 2 SSID है. नेटवर्क का नाम होगा.
अच्छा.
Tricillian 2.
इसको नहीं निकाला है. Tricillian
T से हुआ.
Tricillian है. Tricillian.
Tricillian 2 is there.
Tricillian 2.
So that password is pass P capital.
Okay.
At the rate 1 2 3 4. Okay, so I'll show you today a couple of things. One is why would you use an action element class and how to work with frames. And then we can go forward to understand the other aspects of your C# like interface. And then we see how much time is there to cover up your encapsulation and exceptional handling. Okay, I'll create the Selenium project.
This conference will now be recorded.
We'll create a new project. Selenium 4. Let me make this class as public class. I'll call this class name as frames and action element. Able to see now? I'll call this method also a static, public method rather. Now what I will do inside the same class, I'm creating one more method. Okay, so that I can call that method inside the static main method. So I'll make this method also as static. Void return type, and I'll call this method as frames. Static void frames. Okay, if I open this particular website, any website you can take out, let's speak about bbc.com. Now, if I use the inspect element tool, I will be able to understand that this is a link. I can see link out here. Link is created by the anchor tag A. Okay. That means link is visible. Similarly, if I look at this search edit box, I know it is edit box. I can see that, and it's created by the input tag. The beauty of a edit box is that the type attribute will always have the value as text. Okay. Now let's look at one particular thing. Let's go to Rediff mail. I'll go to the create account page. If you look at edit box, I can see I can get the HTML script. Input is the tag used. Type is equal to text. It's common. So the type value will be equal to text for edit box. Now if you look at this particular button, this is also created by the input tag. But what is the type value? Button. It's always like that. So input tag is a common tag used for edit boxes for buttons, but the type attribute value for a edit box will be text, and for a button will be type equal to button. Okay. Now let's look at the checkbox. It is also created by the input tag, but what is the value of type? Checkbox. You can see this. That is where lies the difference, because input tag can be used for edit box, input tag can be used for buttons, it can be used for checkboxes, and for radio buttons also it will be input. You can check it out. But the type value is equal to radio. So the tag is common for radio button, for checkbox, for edit box and button. The tag is input. But the values of the type attribute is different. For radio button, its type is equal to radio. For checkbox, type is equal to checkbox. For edit box, its type is equal to text. For button, type equal to button. It can be type equal to button or type equal to submit for a button. Okay. Now I can see all these elements. Okay. But can I see a frame? I cannot see a frame. It is invisible to my eyes. It will not be seen. Now, what is a frame? What is the first thing we need to understand? So, what's a frame? Frame is a web page embedded inside another web page. That is what a frame is. Now, it is created. Frame is created by the iframe tag. Okay. It might have ID attribute or class attribute or name attribute, okay, or all the three. Either one of them will be present, or all the three will be present, or two of the three will be present, or two of the three, or none will be present. Now, this behavior of ID, class, or name, okay, is not only for frames, it can be for any element. So a button might have only the ID attribute, it might only have the name attribute, it might have the class attribute, it might have all the three or two of the three. That is relevant for your checkboxes, that is relevant for your radio buttons also, and for your edit boxes also. That means ID, class, and name are optional attributes. They are optional attributes. Now, remember I showed you for radio button the type value is equal to radio. That is a mandatory attribute. Type is a mandatory attribute. Type is a mandatory attribute whose value is equal to radio for radio button. Type is a mandatory attribute for checkboxes also. The value of that will be checkbox. It's a mandatory attribute for edit box also. Type is equal to text. It's a mandatory attribute for your buttons also, but the value will be type is equal to submit or button. Okay. Now this thing you have to remember. Now I have also told you earlier that ID and name attribute value should be unique for every element in the web page. If the company is following international coding standards. If the company is not following international coding standards, they will have same ID value or same name value for more than one element, which is not good for testing purpose. So if in the testing scenario you are finding that the ID value is same or the name value is same, that means you can understand that your coders are not following international standards. That means you are not working in a good company. Simple. Okay. And then you have to basically sit down with your developers and ask them that please have different ID values and different name values for every element in the web page to follow the international coding standards. Class attribute value can be common. Class value is nothing but a section from the CSS file. And the CSS file defines the look and feel. So you will see that two buttons look same. The font color is same, font size is same. So you cannot tell your coders that please have this class value unique for every element, because you need to have uniformity maintained, and the look and feel of the application should be also good. One button cannot have a height of 12 and one button beside it cannot have a height of 14. It will look very absurd. That is why class values might be same for more than one element. Okay. Now, as frame is concerned, so frame will also have ID, class, or name. Either all the three will be present, or none of them will be present, or one of them will be present, or two of the three will be present. It is created by the iframe tag. Okay, it does not have any mandatory attributes. You have to understand that, and it is not seen by the naked eyes. It is invisible to your eyes. Okay. Now, in this particular website, do I have a frame? I cannot see the frame. So what is the next thing to do? This is the inspect element tool of Chrome. You can do Control F, and here it will come, and you can write down iframe. That means the iframe is present. Where it is present, you never know. You just hover your mouse over it. There is iframe present. Where is it? It is telling you that source is this. Like I told you, what is a frame? It's a web page embedded inside another web page. I can take the source value. Whatever is the source value, it has a source attribute. So I can take this source, if I can copy it. And I can go out here and paste it down and check what is it. So this is a blank page actually. You can see that. This blank page is embedded inside this main page. Okay. So this is how you can find a frame, because inspect element tool will not be able to inspect a frame because it is invisible.
The inside link should be empty, right? The inside the link should be blank.
No, on this source is a attribute inside the iframe tag. Sometimes this page is empty right now.
Oh, right.
This might be filled also with elements.
Okay.
But this page is embedded inside the main page. That is what a frame is. Now let's go to this particular website called jQuery UI. This is, I can drag it inside this boundary. You can see that. I'm doing dragging with my mouse. Now, when you are dragging something, some element with your mouse, it can be dragging like this. It can be droppable like this. Drag and drop it inside. Or it can be resizable like this, which you are using your mouse. You can see that. Or selectable like this. You can select. I can select this. You are moving your mouse and clicking. Okay. Accordion. I will click out here, the above one gets collapsed, this expands. If I click out here, the above one gets collapsed, this expands. I'm actually moving my mouse and clicking. Then you have this portion is very common, and it says slider. This is present in your e-commerce. 1 minute. Understand one thing, I have to slide this slider with my mouse only. I have to put my pointer out here, click my mouse. I don't have to release my mouse. I'm dragging it and then I release my mouse. This is present in your e-commerce website. Now these kind of mouse movements which you perform with mouse, okay, or certain keys in your keyboard, like you can use any of the keys of your keyboard. This can not be automated by Selenium simple classes and methods. Simple classes and method, if it's a button, I can click on a button. If it is typing, I can type on an edit box. I can click on a checkbox. That is simple behavior. You can use the simple click method out there, or send keys method to type. Okay, generally what? But this is a mouse movement or keystrokes, which is also I'm keying the keys of the keyboard. So this mouse movement or keystrokes of the keyboard cannot be performed by simple Selenium classes and methods. For that, you have to use the action element class. The action element class is basically used for the purpose of simulation or simulating your mouse movements and keystrokes. So when you encounter these kind of elements, you have to simulate your mouse movement and keystrokes. And when you want to do that, you have to use the action element class. Okay, now in this particular scenario also, you will see that I don't see frames. But if I do a control F, I'll have to, inside this, I will click control F, I will put iframe. Frame is by iframe. There's a frame out here. And you can see now the frame is that particular portion where the slider is present. You can see that. That means this element slider is inside the frame. And if the element slider is inside the frame, this can be a slider element or any other element. If you want to work with the elements which are present inside a frame, you have to switch to the frame. Without switching to the frame, you cannot work on the elements present inside a frame. And where you have to switch from? From the main page to the frame, because what I told, frame is a web page embedded inside the main page. So you have to switch from the main page to the frame page. I told you the source. This is the source, right? I'll copy the source. I'll paste it out here. Sorry, I have to put before that rediff.com something you have to put. So what is the name? jQuery UI.com. It is forwarded, not found, it is saying. Well, let me do one thing. I'll do one particular thing. So you know where the frame is present. This is where the frame is present, right? This area. If I right click, this is a Chrome. This is a Chrome browser. If I right click on this area, or where is this here? You can see these options will come. View frame source. View frame source is coming. This is the option that you will get in Chrome browser if you have seen a frame in that area. This area doesn't have a frame. You will not get to see the option of view frame source. Do you see that? This area has a frame. I know that. How? Over your mouse. If I right click out here, you will see view frame source. If I go to view frame source, this is the HTML script of the frame. And if you look at this tells you, okay, this is the frame source. Okay, now the same page, this is the same website. Okay, I will open up in your Firefox. Do I have Firefox? Let me see that. I think I don't have Firefox. Let me download Firefox. How does the frame look? The same frame look in your Firefox? Switch on that. On switch. Let's close this door. Okay, let's open the same website. Okay, I'll open the same website out here. So in Chrome, do you see what? You see view frame source. This is the page source. This is the main page source. Okay, this page source is of the main page. If you want to see the HTML script of the frame, right click on the area which has a frame. You will see this option, frame source. This is what you see in Chrome browser for looking at a fact that where is the frame present. The same website I will open up in Mozilla. Now I know this area has a frame. I will right click inspect element. Inspector has to be clicked and I will check out here. This iframe, you can see this. It highlights that area. Now, what happens if I right click on the area which has a frame in Mozilla Firefox? This is the option that you will get, this frame. Show only this frame. You can want to see only this frame. See this. This is the whole frame. This is a web page. And this web page is embedded inside this main page. Right click this frame, show frame in a new tab. That's a new tab where the slider is present. Okay, you can right click this frame, open frame in a new window, reload the frame. It will only reload that area which has the frame. Then you will have print the frame, bookmark this frame, view frame source, view frame info. Info means this is the address of the frame. This is actually the address I was looking at, and it should open up the frame here also. You can see now it is opening in Chrome. Okay, that's the address of the frame, and this web page is embedded inside the main page. Referring URL. Okay. So what is the option that you get in Firefox? This frame. Okay. And if this area doesn't have a frame, right click. Do you see this frame? Not cropping up. Now what about IE? Do I have the IE browser? Check out. Yeah. Let's put up the same thing. Copy and I will right click. You have the inspect element tool out here also. Okay, this is the pointer. You DOM Explorer, you can see. This is the pointer. Sorry. This is the slider. If you scroll up, this is the frame. It is highlighting the frame. Now this area, if I right click, do I see any option to look at? Is there any option of this frame that you see in Firefox? No. Is there any option on Chrome that you see view frame source? No. So in IE, you will not see this option. When you right click on the area which has a frame. But in Chrome and Firefox, you will see option of view frame source and this frame respectively. How do you find out frames inside the IE inspect element tool? Nothing. You have to do just Control F and it should basically show you. Here also, let's say I want to, I'm basically pinpointing this area. This is the HTML script. If you scroll down, this has a body. Body is getting highlighted. HTML script, HTML tag is iframe. This is another way to find out iframe in IE inspect element tool. In Firefox, I will highlight this. Scroll down, you can see body, HTML, iframe. You'll see down in inspect element of Firefox. Okay, and in Chrome, let me close this. I will inspect this. You will see body, HTML, iframe again. If you hover your mouse, the frame gets highlighted. These are the ways you can find out frame. All the ways I've showed you. Okay. Now let's work upon this. Let's close this now. I'll close the IE browser also. So how do you work with frame? Now frame for working with elements inside the frame, we need to switch to frame. So for working with elements inside the frame, we need to switch to the frame. Then only we can work with elements inside the frame. How do you switch? We need to switch first by the address of the frame. This is one way. Address of the frame means address is kept in web element interface. I have told you earlier, another web element interface. We can switch to the frame by the address of the frame. How do you get the address? By the locating strategy. It can be any of the 8 different locating strategies. You put it inside the web element interface. The second is by the index number of the frame. Index number starts with 0. So that means you have to find out how many frames are there in the web page, and you have to switch to the particular frame by the index number. And the third behavior is by the ID or name attribute value present in frames HTML script. Now if you look at this particular frame, this has source, class, no ID or name. I cannot switch to the frame by the class value, not allowed. If there is an ID attribute in the frame's HTML script, or the class or the name attribute is present with its value, then I can switch to the frame by the ID value or by the name value. There's a class, there's no ID or name. I cannot switch to the frame by the class value. You have to understand that. I can switch to the frame by the address of this frame. How do I get the address? You can get the XPath or this CSS selector, or you can get the address by the ID also, but there's no ID out here. You can get the XPath, you can get it by the class name locating strategy. Class name is there, class is there. So address of the frame by the class name locating strategy. Name locating strategy cannot be used. This is not a link. I cannot use the partial link text or link text. Tag name, iframe. There might be more than one frame. So tag name, be careful. This has to be only frame in the page, then only can use the tag name iframe. If it is more than one frame, then you cannot use the tag name locating strategy. So by this locating strategy, you can give the address. So one by the address of the frame, one by the ID value or the name value, no by the class value is not allowed, or by the index number of the frame. Index number starts with 0. Okay. So this funda you should know about frames. Next is about action element class. I will sit down there. Okay. Next is about the action element class. Now, remember one thing, when we use Selenium, we always have to import the namespace. So using OpenQA, or we have not used what do you call, I have not made this as a starter project first. I have not have the NuGet packages installed for Selenium and Chrome driver and all those things. So when I install support, the Selenium WebDriver also get installed automatically. Okay, both have got installed. Selenium support, okay. I need the Chrome web, the Chrome one, right? Mm, I will install this by J. Sakamoto. This is a known person. You can go to your nugetpackages.com.org. You will see that J. Sakamoto's name is out there for Chrome driver. You can install this one. And what is the Chrome version I have? Hold on. I will check out the Chrome version. This is for Sakamoto, right? This is 76. What version of Chrome I have? 76 only. Okay, so I can go out here and download this. Firefox version. I want to work with Firefox. Check up the Firefox version. I have 68.0.2. Well, let's check up this NuGet package manager. Installing still Chrome. Okay, Gecko driver, right? Win32, Win64 Mac, for Selenium WebDriver. Whatever is copied to bin folder, blah, NuGet package entry, blah, blah. They published this 68 version. So for this, I have to check up. It's better to go and check up in your Selenium HQ. 0.24, right? They could have a change log. Greater than equal to 65. 0.24, yeah. So I have 68, so I can go out here and download this one, J. Sakamoto again. I start Gecko driver Win64. I have a Windows 64 machine, so I'll download this. what is the IE version I have? IE version, the changes you need to do. I told you earlier also. Zoom 100%, internet options, security. This is medium high. This should be also medium high. This should be also medium high. This you cannot change. You can change it too. No, you can't change this. These three should be medium high or in the same level rather. Apply and OK. The next thing that you need to do is
So what is medium? Is there in particular?
medium low. If it is medium low for internet, you can have local internet also medium low, trusted site also medium low. You have to have the same security level. For at least these three: internet, local internet, trusted site. And the third is the I will disable the protected mode for restricted. I will disable it for it is already disabled. This is also disabled. This is also disabled. Apply. Warning will come. Say OK. This is the setting you need, and the version of Internet Explorer is 11. So close the tab. If I want to IE drivers J Sakamoto 64-bit 3.141.59. What is the WebDriver version? Three point one four one. IE driver. For Win32 it is. Let me use this. Okay, then I can go and close this. I can use OpenQA. .selenium. This is the work package. You can also, if you want to work with Chrome, you have to use OpenQA. .selenium.chrome. If you also want to work with IE, then you use OpenQA. .selenium. .ie. And if you also want to work with your Firefox, and I will also also import the namespace system dot threading. Okay, action element class. Now let's go. Should be used. Should be used to work with mouse movements and keystrokes of the keyboard. Okay. This class actually simulates the mouse movement and keystrokes. When this class is used in script, do not touch mouse or keyboard, as it will hamper simulation. Action element class, find the element pinpointing to the middle of the element. So for example, this is the element. If action element card is there, it will pinpoint out at the middle. Okay. Now, if I want to use action element class, I have to have a different package, namespace imported. Now, where is the namespace? How do you know where is the namespace? What is the namespace for action element? So what I can do is that this is selenium.hu.org, right? When you go to the download section, sometimes you will find this problem. You are not knowing the namespace. Go to API docs of C#. Okay. And comment this. Now you find out where is action element class. Is it out here? No. Out here? No. Is it out here? No. Page objects will never have it. Extensions? No. Events? No. Remote? No. Phantom Opera internal? No. Selenium interactions internal? No. Interface? No. Interactions? Actions class. So it's the action class actually, it's the action element. Actions class. So this class has to be used. And if I create an object of this, so it will tell you that inheritance hierarchy, it belongs to the package OpenQA Selenium Interactions Actions. So I have to copy this and import it out here. OpenQA dot Selenium dot interactions log internal. No, they are not so big. It is OpenQA Selenium interactions. Interactions actions. Internal dot action. No, not so much. Okay, there's some problem. Let me check it out. Interaction touch actions. Action constructor. It takes out the iWebDriver driver. Okay. Namespace is OpenQA Selenium interactions only. Okay. So this is the package to be used. OpenQA Selenium interactions. Okay. Now I will basically do the same thing out here. I will go to this website. So the same strategy, you have to create the Chrome driver class object. Chrome driver is equal to new Chrome driver. Okay, this is going to open the Chrome browser. And control the browser. Controlling the browser means finding the element and performing actions. And Chrome tab opens the minimized states. You have to maximize the browser window. If it is not maximized, then certain elements become hidden and Selenium will throw no such element exception. So driver dot manage method dot window property. Equals full screen maximize. Navigate to URL. So you can use driver.url property and the value of the URL string. So just copy it from here. Okay, I will not go to slider. Let's go out here to the first one directly. Now, the essence is to drag it around. This element is present inside the frame. Maybe just pinpoint, this is the HTML script. But down, always check out if there is an iframe or not. Be careful. There is inside the frame right now. So I have to first switch to the frame. How do you switch? Switch to the frame by the address. I'll show you by address. Okay, I can't switch to the frame by the name attribute value or by this is the frame HTML script. If I click out here, this has a class value. I cannot switch to the frame by the class value. If the ID attribute is present, the name attribute is present, I can switch to the frame by the ID or class, ID or name. So ID or name is out of reach right now. I can either switch to the frame by the address or by the index number. So how do you get the address? Right click, copy, XPath. So I have to use iWeb element. Okay, I'll call this as frame address.
Kaushik, can't we use class?
Grass. Which grass?
Class name for frame.
No, you can't use. You cannot switch to the frame with the class attribute value. Only by name attribute value or ID attribute value. Driver dot find element by the XPath and the XPath of the frame is this attribute value should be in single quotes. This is the address. Okay, now once you've got the address, switch to the frame. So driver dot is a switch. Switch to method dot frame. Now you can switch to the frame. Here in the argument you can give the address, you can give the ID value or name value, class value not given, or by the index number. So I'll give the address. Address is defined by frame address. Once you have switched, now you can drag the element. Now this is a mouse movement, so use the actions class. So create an object of the actions class. Actions ACT is equal to new actions. And if you look at the documentation out here, it very clearly tells you that the constructor action class is not a no argument constructor. It takes a web driver, iWeb driver. So that means what I need to do, I'll create a global variable at the class level. I'll call this as iWeb. I can give this as public. And all are static methods. All the methods are right now static. This method is static. Main method is static. So I will call this as public static iWeb driver. Static because static references can be called with the class. And this is actually the variable. This is iWeb driver's reference. At the global variable, when you are declaring it, this global variable can be used across all the methods in this class. And in this particular method, where I have used Chrome driver, I can actually use driver directly. Because this driver is now pinpointing to this object. And this driver is of iWeb driver. Now, remember last time I told you about upcasting in your inheritance method overriding. Here also interface also upcasting is possible, where you create an object of the class which is implementing the interface. This class is implementing the iWeb driver interface. So you're creating an object of the class implementing the WebDriver interface, and the reference variable is of the interface, which you have defined out here. This is also upcasting technique. Also possible in interface. Okay. Now I can basically pass on here what? The driver. Which driver is nothing but which pinpoints towards the object of the class, which this class is implementing the iWeb driver interface. And that is what this documentation is telling me. It doesn't have a no argument constructor. And now methods. Let us look at the methods. So you have a build method, you have a perform method. Okay, these are important right now. Now, when you use the actions class, the build method has to be used. Build method to build the simulation, and perform method to perform the simulation. And these are two important methods. Please don't forget to use it. 1 minute. Hello? Okay, now what I need to do, that is the question. Now these are build method. Okay, what does it do? A complete action which can be used to perform the actions. This is nothing but build. Actually, where is the build method? Yeah, this is the build method. The perform method, which performs the simulation. Okay, and then you have move to an element method. Move to the element method by the iWeb element interface. That means by the address of the element. Move to the element by the address and by the x and y coordinate. Integer 32 into 32. This is nothing but x coordinate and y coordinate. Okay. Then you have move to the offset. Move to the offset means by the coordinates again. You can see move to the offset by integer offset and integer y offset. Move to the element x offset, y offset. It means x and y coordinates.
We need to enter the values.
We need to enter the values, integer values. Okay, move to the element by the iWeb element, by the address. Any of the 8 different locating strategies can be address of the element. Keys up, keystrokes. Keys up method. Sing, give the key. Key up. Key down is also there. Key up method by the address of the key and the name of the key. Okay. Key down method. Key down and then putting it up. If you are using key down, you have to use key up also. So key down method, give the key out here. Key down method with the address of the key and followed by the key name. A, B, C, D, whatever it is in string format. Get locatable from method. Get locatable return type is iLocatable interface, and you have to give the address. Get the location. Get the location, nothing else. Drag and drop an element by the address of it and give the x and y coordinate. Drag and drop just by the sources address and by the target's address. Okay, double click method. Double click on the method, double click on a particular element. That's all. Double click on element by the address of the element. Context click. What is this context used for? If I want to do right click, by my right click of my mouse, this is context click. Okay? Context click by the address of the element. This is very important. They will ask you in the interview, how do you right click? So context click method of the actions class. Click and hold method. You have to click and hold. If you are clicking and holding, you have to release also. Clicking and holding with your mouse and then release it. There's a release method. Release method, release by the address of the element.
Using that, we can
See, otherwise you will click on it, keep on holding. You can't release the mouse. Okay, click and hold method by the element, address. Click method, simple click method. Click the method by the address of the element. Build method, I told you to build the simulation. Add action, to add the action. And constructor we have seen some time back. So these are the methods we use. Now, if you look at this particular behavior, I am dragging in this boundary. That means what I have to use. Drag and drop, there are two methods out here. Which method to be used? Do I have a source address and a target address? No. I have a source address. The source address is this. Drag me around. Is it the target address? No target address. So I have to use drag and drop by the offset. Integer x, integer y. Okay, now let's start using it. So drag the element. Now I have to first keep the address. Now because I am using this particular method, I have to keep the address of the source. Which source? This source. Now I will be switching to the frame. So I can work with the elements of the frame. So I'll get the x path of this source. So address of the drag me around source. Web element interface has to be used. I'll call this as drag source driver dot find element.
So what is with star?
Star means it is being used continuously. So that will put it in the star. Methods which are using continuously, repeatedly, they will put in the star. By the x path this draggable has to be put within single quotes. So this is the address, and now you can case what is the act dot drag and drop. 3 arguments has to be given. Address. And the next is the x coordinate and the y coordinate. Now you're moving towards the horizontal from left to right. What is that? Positive. So positive means I'll give 50 power points to the x-axis. comma. The next is here offset y. Now remember one thing that I keep on telling. The origin 0, 0 is out here for every element. Okay. So if I'm moving down, I'm moving positive in the y-axis. It's a virtual image you can see. Generally we take it out here, but for elements it is taken out here. So that's a virtual image. So I'm moving down means again positive y. So I will again give, let's say, 38 points towards y. Done. After this, please remember you have to use act dot build this simulation. Please build this simulation. After building the simulation, please perform the simulation. If you don't use this particular code, build and perform, nothing will happen. You will not see anything happening. You will see the script has passed. So you think the script has passed, but you will not see any movement. Okay? That is what you, this is why be careful to use these. Okay? Now let's run this. Let's run this code. Control function F5. I don't have my specs also today. I have not called the function. Where did I call this function? I have to call this function inside the main method Nova. And this class is a, I can call it with the class name, which is a static function, right? Dot frames. Since I did not call this function, nothing happened. Control function. It dragged. I'll show you once more. I will increase this point. Increase this point to, let's say, 75. Then you will see. That right? Okay, once it is dragged, now I have to click on droppable link. So that's part of the same. So now I have to click on the, now is the droppable link part of the frame? Let's, is there any frame? No. That means this is the side widget, this is the link actually. Before that, all the parent tags. Is there any iframe tag as a parent? No. That means my focus is now shifted to the frame. Before I click on any of the element which is outside of the frame, I have to switch back to the main page. So since I have moved my focus from the main page to the frame by using the switch method, I am now focused on the frame. If I want to work with the elements outside of the frame, switch back to the main page from the frame. So what I need to do is that before I click on the droppable, switch from frame to main page, because the droppable link is part of the main page. So I'll have to use driver dot switch to default content. What is the switch to method? You'll ask me what is this default content. See, if you do not know, you can go to your this out here, and you can see in OpenQA Selenium there will be drag and drop frame method. Cookie driver element not visible capabilities. Method. Switch to method is part of the iWebDriver. Where is iWebDriver interface? Yeah. iWebDriver methods. Switch to method. Switch to iWeb element. iWebDriver, iWeb element. Methods. Properties. Text property, location property. Send keys method. Submit method. Maximize keys class. Fields, add arrow right F1. So these are the keys you can use.
Okay.
So many F1, F2 and all are there.
How many?
One minute to check out no such element. Platform class. Proxy screen orientation. Switch to the frame. Target locator. Switch to alert. Switch to the frame.
Last one. Windows switches to this one. Last one.
No, okay, default content. Selects either the first frame on the page. So I am already inside the page.
Yeah.
So if the frame is inside another frame, the default content will select the parent frame. Okay. Or the main document. Main document means the main page. Okay. So I'll use out here default content, and after that you can click on property. So driver dot find element by the XPath dot click. Get the XPath value. To change this to single ports. Now once you have switched, so I will click manually also out here. This navigates to a new page. So if it navigates to a new page, it's always good to give static wait. Okay. Generally, when you navigate from one page to another, you give a static wait. That is why I have imported this namespace called as system.threading. So I'll go out here, there is one thread rod sleep method. And how many seconds do you want to give? Milliseconds timeout. Let's say 10 milliseconds is 10,000 milliseconds is 10 seconds actually. More than enough. And then if you look at again out here, now there is a target address, there is a source address. Source address is this, target address is this, actually speaking. So out here, let's check up. Is there a iframe? There is a frame. It again has a class, no ID or name. So I cannot switch to the frame by the ID or name. The class, I cannot switch by the class. I've already shown you by the address. Now switch to the frame by the index number. So I will switch to the frame by the index. So first I have to find out how many frames are there in the page, in this page. How do you find out? So first find how many frames in droppable page. So I will use driver dot find elements. What is the tag name of a frame? By the tag name iframe. Okay, and the return term of find elements is a list, is a iRead web element interface. You can see this iRead only collection interface. I can use this iRead only collection of iWeb element, and I'll call this as all elements. It is not actually all elements, all frames. Okay, now if I do console.writeLine, I'll find out how many frames are there in the web page. So I'll write down the number of frames in droppable page is all frames. There's a count property. So you can count with the number of frames. So let's find out how many frames are there and what is the problem out here. Now let's run this. Is it open? I'll close this. Let's run this control motion. Drag. I was clicking on dropple because it has switched to the main page now. Now I will find out how many frames are there. Waiting for 10 seconds. Number of frames is one only. If it is 1, index number will be 0. So I can just close this and I can switch to the driver dot switch to the frame method by the index number 0, because there is only one frame and index number will be 0 for that frame. And now I can run this once more. Oh, I have not dragged and dropped, right? I have to drag and drop it. So for dragging and dropping, what I should do is I already switched to the frame. So now drag and drop from source to destination. So I have to use the action class again. I'll call this ACT1 equal to new actions. And I have to pass on the driver. I have to give the address of the source IWeb element. So what I can do is I can go out here, take the address of the source. Driver dot find element by the XPath this is the address of the source, and which method I will use, I'll show you. I'm going to use this particular method. This one, address of the source, address of the target, destination I will say. So what is the address of the destination? This is the destination address. Let's copy this first. I'll call this as destination. Take this XPath once more. What is the driver having a problem? Actions plus. And then use ACT1 dot drag and drop by the source address, and the source has to be dragged to destination. Once you create this, you have to build the simulation dot build dot perform. Now we can run this. Done. Now in the real-time situation, you will not have one frame. You will have multiple frames. Then this is not a good code actually. The good code. Because let's say you have 5 frames and you have to switch to this particular frame. You have to switch to this particular frame. How will you do it? Then you have to have a different strategy. This is a straightforward strategy because there is one frame in index number 0. So if you have multiple frames, then you need to do what? You have to use the for loop. And let's say integer I represents the index number variable which starts at 0. I should be less than all frames dot count. And then I plus plus. Now, if you look at this particular frame, it has a source and a class name. Okay, so what I will do is that this is the source, right? This gives you better jQuery. Actually, I go out and right click this frame, view frame info. This is the source. This is the value of the source attribute. Okay, so what I can do, I'll have a string expected src, which is equal to this. Right, and a string with a small s, and I have another string expected class value. What is the class value?
Given frame.
And I'll get the actual values. So string actual src. How do I get it? I'll get the XPath of this frame. Driver dot find element.
Actual resources. ES.
Find element by the XPath. XPath of this frame is now. How do you get attribute? Get the attribute of what? Get the attribute of src. And XPath I have to put it control B. Should be contain single quote. And the same thing I have to do with get the class value. Same XPath get the attribute of the class. And then I'll have a if condition. Where is the for loop ending? And then I'll have if condition if actual src dot equals method of the string the expected src and operator actual class value dot equals expected class value. Then driver, please switch to the frame by that index defined by I. So you'll go to each and every frame, it will find out this condition is met or not. If the condition is met, so probably in the first frame, the one condition is met, the other condition is not met. It's AND logic use. Go to the second frame, this is met, this is not met. The third frame, this is met, this is met. It will switch the frame by that I value. Because I will keep on incrementing, right? This is the general behavior of how you should do it when you have multiple frames and you have to switch to the particular frame. Okay, I can run this. So you will switch to that frame whose class value expected is matching with the actual value and the source value expected matching with the actual source value. Let's found out. The class value actual matches with the expected, the source value actual matches with the expected. This is the real way. Very rare you will find one frame in a page. Okay, so I have told you today about how to work with frames and actions class. So tomorrow when I will take one more example of action class before moving to interface and abstraction and exception handling. Any questions? You guys have any questions to be asked? Okay. Now I'll send you the codes and the video. Video anyways you'll get Monday. I will send it today, they will give you Monday. Okay, so
Yeah, thanks, Kaushik.
thank you.